in the checking account. We never checked the savings account because we never put money in there. But we did check it that day, and thank God we did, because in the savings account was $3,800. All I can say is thank you, Lord, for hearing my prayers. And thank you, Evelyn, for reminding us all of the power of prayer and of compound interest. On Christmas Eve, our thoughts always turn to loved ones who are no longer with us. I can't tell you how many folks have told me about feeling a sudden, overpowering flood of emotions at the simplest things on Christmas Eve. Sometimes the least likely things can trigger it. Linda Wilson of Texas recalls that her grandfather's last Christmas gift to her dad just before he died was a simple shirt. Her dad never wore it. For the rest of his life, it hung safely in his closet as a reminder of his dad. And Linda, I bet someday you're going to cherish it too as a reminder of the kind of man your dad was. Ellen Nelson of Oregon would understand. She lost her mother to a brain tumor that scrambled her thinking and made her a little exasperating at times. Just before Christmas, she insisted on being driven to buy Christmas stamps. She debated at great length in the post office before finally picking the ornament design, or as she called it, the Jingle Bell stamps. The clerk put 3 sheets in an onion skin envelope. Her mom proudly took them home and then wrote Christmas stamps on the envelope and put them on public display in the windowsill. Ellen said at the time it seemed silly. But a month later, after her mother passed away, Ellen was helping clean out her mom's house when she found those silly stamps still in the onion skin envelope with her mom's handwriting. And she took them into the bathroom and cried. Then she took them home and tucked them into her own stamp drawer. Well, guess what? Ellen now calls them the Jingle Bell stamps, too. She's down to the last 3, which she'll never use. Ellen wrote, it's almost as if when those stamps are gone, one more thread will be cut. But somehow, I know I'll never give up that little onion skin envelope. Whenever I buy stamps, it'll always be in sheets, and I'll always tuck them into that little onion skin envelope. Ellen, it's great to always have a reminder of your mom in the stamp drawer. But it's even better to know that there's a place where those we've lost still live on, in our hearts and in our memories, especially on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas from the Huckabee Report.
Are you an embarrassment on the dance floor? Do you confuse state capitals, make runny scrambled eggs, and read too many celebrity gossip magazines? Do you drink milk straight from the carton, think trigonometry is a planet, and snore louder than a Kodiak bear? Well, if you answered yes to any of the above questions, you may have what it takes to adopt a teen from foster care, because teens don't need perfection, they need you. So if you bite your nails like they're a snack food, think an MP3 is a computer virus, can't tell a right angle from an acute, constantly lose the remote, can't parallel park, confuse hip-hop with double dutch, and are afraid of spiders, dentists, and clowns, it's okay. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you. For more information on how you can adopt, call 1-888-200-4005 or go to adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
The Huckabee Report is brought to you by Dairy Queen, Silver Springs, Ocala.
When I started thinking about this year's Christmas greeting, I wanted to make it something meaningful. So here is my heartfelt wish for us all. Good health, prosperity, and the peace to be happy, whatever our circumstances. Remember the reason for the season. Merry Christmas.
Howdy, RL here to tell you about a great deal at Dairy Queen. For only $4.49, you can warm up to a hot, juicy combo of either a foot-long, quarter-pound, all-beef chili dog or a tasty, home-style cheeseburger. Smoking hot off the char grill. Both get fries and a drink. You can add a sundae for only 99 cents. Now that's a doggone good deal at Dairy Queen, Silver Springs, where they always treat you like kings and queens.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala!
All right, 24 minutes before 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Christmas Eve morning. It is time for us to bring to you the news from around the world, around the nation, around the state. And we call the segment News Bites. We call it that because they're bite-sized news. We shrink them, we abbreviate them, we get to the point, cut to the chase, and give you an opportunity to catch up on the news without spending all day watching TV, listening to the radio, reading the newspaper, and we'll squeeze in this little time slot here about 20, 25 stories, something around there. Typically, that's what we do. And we will also give you the news resource that we use to get the news. In other words, the news agency where we're getting it from. And that's it. Let's just begin. Did I leave anything out, Robin? It is New Year's, so. I mean, Christmas Eve. I keep saying New Year's. I don't know why I keep saying that.
You might have a hot party happen at New Year's Eve.
You never know.
Yeah.
I could pretty much predict there'll be no hot party in my world. All right. Let's see. Which story should I start with? How about from Fox News? President Obama enrolled over the weekend for insurance under the Affordable Care Act, according to the White House in a statement issued yesterday. The president, who is vacationing in Hawaii with his family, was enrolled in Obamacare by his staff. White House officials said staffers enrolled the president through the District of Columbia exchange and needed to make the transaction in person, though not through the website, because his personal information is not readily available in the government databases used to verify identities. Obama was enrolled before the midnight Monday deadline, which has now been extended to today, by the way, in order to get coverage starting January 1st, ending speculation about when he would enroll himself. And that's from Fox News.
Last summer, Jake Sullivan was traveling with his boss, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, when he disappeared during a stop in Paris. He showed up a few days later, rejoining Clinton in Mongolia. In between, Sullivan secretly jetted to Oman to meet with Iranian officials. The July 2012 meeting is one of the administration's earliest known contacts with Iran and reveals that Sullivan was involved in that outreach earlier than has been reported. The secret diplomacy may seem like a tough assignment, even for a grizzled foreign policy veteran, but Sullivan is just age 37. He's now Vice President Joe Biden's national security advisor. Sullivan remains loyal to Clinton and is seen as her likely pick for White House national security advisor should she run for president again and win, reported by the Las Vegas Sun.
And this story is from the Associated Press. Businesses stepped up their orders for long-lasting manufactured goods in November, and a key category that signals business investment plans climbed at the fastest pace in 10 months. The Commerce Department says orders for durable goods jumped 3.5% in November compared with October, when orders had fallen 0.7%. The increase was led by a 21.8% jump in demand for commercial aircraft, which can be volatile. Core capital goods, a category that tracks business investment, rose 4.5%, the biggest gain since January. This category is seen as a gauge of business plans to expand and modernize, and as a measure of business confidence. Various barometers have signaled strength in manufacturing, which should translate into support for the overall economy going into 2014. Bottom line of that story is that the economy looks like it's improving.
Talk about unsportsmanlike conduct. A Washington state lawmaker took to Twitter on Sunday following a 17-10 loss by his beloved Seahawks to the Arizona Cardinals, ending Seattle's 14-game home winning streak. Democratic Representative Joe Fitzgibbon wrote in a now-deleted message, "Losing a football game sucks. Losing to a desert racist wasteland sucks a lot." Fitzgibbon, who represents West Seattle, Burien, Vashon Island, and White Center, removed the message a short time later and said he shouldn't have conflated the two topics, reported by Fox News.
This from CNN. The children of women who regularly ate peanuts or tree nuts during pregnancy appear to be at a lower risk for nut allergies than other kids, according to a new study published yesterday. The study, published in the Journal of American Medical Association, is the first to demonstrate that a mother who eats nuts during pregnancy may help build up a baby's tolerance to nuts. Dr. Michael Young told CNN the effects seem to be strongest in women who ate the most peanuts or tree nuts, 5 or more servings per week, according to the study, which controlled For factors such as family history of nut allergies and other dietary practices, peanut and tree nut allergies tend to overlap, according to researchers. So if you're pregnant, eat nuts and your child won't be allergic to nuts.
I like it. Senator Rand Paul, a Republican from Kentucky, is on a mission to get more minority voters and urban dwellers to support Republicans. And to do it, he's pitching a plan that would end long-term unemployment insurance, outlaw traditional pensions, and offer sweeping tax reductions to hard-hit areas. Paul, who's openly considering a bid for president in 2016, said in an interview with NBC News that extending unemployment benefits past 26 weeks will hurt workers, and that paying for it without raising taxes weakens America. This is a quote from Rand Paul. Does it make sense for our country to borrow money from China to give it to the unemployed in America? That is weakening us as a country, reported by MSNBC.
And this story from the Associated Press, 2 space station astronauts ventured out on a rare Christmas Eve spacewalk this morning, hoping to wrap up urgent repairs to the cooling system at the space station. It was the second spacewalk in 4 days for U.S. astronauts Rick Mastracchio and Michael Hopkins, only the second Christmas Eve spacewalk in NASA history. NASA ordered up the spacewalks to revive a critical cooling loop at the International Space Station. All non-essential equipment had to be turned off when the line conked out December 11th, and many science experiments were halted. Mastracchio and Hopkins removed a faulty ammonia pump during Saturday's outing, and this morning they worked to install a new pump 260 miles above the planet. It's like Christmas morning opening up a little present here, Mastracchio said as he checked his toolkit. Mission Control in Houston was in a festive mood during this morning's spacewalk. Tabletop Christmas trees, Santa dolls, and red Santa caps decorated the desks over at Mission Control.
The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has broken his silence over revelations that British and U.S. spy agencies had targeted one of his predecessors, condemning the activities as unacceptable. Papers leaked by Edward Snowden and published by The Guardian on Friday revealed that GCHQ, in association with the National Security Agency, had targeted an email address used by the Israeli Prime Minister when Ehud Olmert was in office. 3 further Israeli targets appeared in GCHQ documents, including another email address understood to have been used to send messages between the then Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak and his Chief of Staff Yoni Koren, reported by The Guardian.
And this is from ABC News. About a third of all internet transactions are returned by shoppers, according to the Wall Street Journal. So retailers are pushing clever tactics to help shoppers make choices that they will keep. Thayer Michaler, co-founder of the free location-based app Sale Sorter, says shopper behavior differs in an actual store compared with online stores. The National Retail Federation estimates that online sales will increase 13 to 15% in 2014. Mercier says, Michaler is his name, says, I would imagine the rate of in-store returns is much smaller than online because consumers know exactly what they are buying when they pick something out in the stores, so there are fewer surprises. The National Retail Federation said $58 billion in goods are expected to be returned this holiday season, but it does not have data that shows the rate of dollar amount specifically for online shopping returns.
Tumbling gold prices, growing consumer confidence, and aggressive discounting by retailers have Americans flocking to jewelry counters this holiday shopping season. The U.S. gold jewelry industry is on track for its highest sales for the fourth quarter since 2010 and its first annual increase in gold sales in more than a decade, precious metal consultant Thomas Reuters GFMS has estimated. Here is a quote, I always look for the price of gold in the news and pay attention to discounts and deals. John Mora Gonzalez, a 31-year-old mechanic in New York, said after purchasing a necklace for his wife for Christmas. Mora had spotted JCPenney 20% discount on fine jewelry and paid $40 for a 10-carat gold necklace, reported by Reuters.
And this is from the Associated Press. It's about a California family that is celebrating 3 heart transplants. Deanna Kremis remembers the exhilarating day her young sons first had the energy to race each other up a flight of stairs. The brothers, who were then ages 7 and 10, could barely walk, before having heart transplants just a month apart. As they flew up the steps 2 at a time, jostling and shouting, she recalled, "My friend turned to me and said, 'Are you ready to get one now?' It was a joke that became prophecy. Her health, too, was slipping away because of the same inherited cardiac condition. By the time she received her own transplant in July, her heart was so weak she fainted while walking down the hall, collapsed mid-sentence, and passed out in the middle of dinner at a friend's house. Her decline was terrifying for her sons, who were just beginning to embrace their lives with donor hearts and now saw their worst memories reflected in their mother's struggle. All 3 have hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a genetic condition that causes the heart muscle to thicken until it can't pump properly. Kremis's mother and brother also have it, as did their grandmother. We just didn't like seeing her go through the pain and stuff," said 13-year-old Trevin. "We knew what it felt like." The 44-year-old stay-at-home mom for the family of 5 now finds herself in the unusual position of getting advice from post-transplant life from her sons while coordinating a never-ending regimen of pills and doctor's appointments that has become her full-time job. She also homeschools, by the way. And so anyway, so it's kind of a long story, but it's just a great little Christmas story of 3 people, a mom and 2 boys, who all 3 of them have had heart transplants this year.
I'll say. This is from the Florida News Network. Animal rights activists, refueled by the Blackfish controversy, gathered outside SeaWorld Sunday to express their frustration for the care of animals at the theme park. They claim the theme park company has cruel and inhumane capturing of dolphins and orcas. This protest comes days after SeaWorld Entertainment placed full-page ads in newspapers across the country in an aggressive counterattack of the critical Blackfish documentary. Animal activists claim the ads were a business move, not because the park cares about animals. SeaWorld Orlando spokesman Nick Galachek says the protesters are misguided. SeaWorld said its message in the newspaper ads comes from 1,500 employees, which includes scientists, veterinarians, and conservationists. The company said the ad corrects inaccurate reports. The ad campaign is the first step by SeaWorld to rebut criticisms by the documentary and animal rights activists that are promoting it. SeaWorld says that it wants to set the record straight after a number of well-known performers backed out of upcoming concerts at the theme park because of the Blackfish controversy. After the documentary was released, people swarmed social media to lash out against SeaWorld. The ad does not specifically mention the Blackfish documentary, which chronicles the captivity of the killer whale that killed trainer Dawn Brancheau in 2010. However, in its open letter advertisement, SeaWorld says it has invested $70 million to improving its killer whale habitats in the last 3 years, mostly on safety upgrades implemented after the death of Brancheau. The ad states the men and women of SeaWorld are true animal advocates who have dedicated our lives to the animals in our care as well as those in the wild.
The next story is from the Washington Times. The Obama administration is under fire from powerful House Democrats and some in the civil rights community for its recent picks to fill 4 judicial vacancies on Georgia's Northern District federal bench. The rift came into the spotlight during a morning press conference yesterday where civil rights icon Representative John Lewis, a Georgia Democrat, and others urged the White House to withdraw its 4 December 19th nominations. Here's a quote. The group cites serious concerns that the proposed candidates do not adequately reflect the diversity of the Northern District and that the selection process lacked meaningful community input, unquote. The coalition of critics said that in a statement, adding, quote, additionally, the coalition finds it troubling that several of the nominees, include persons who have advocated in favor of Georgia's voter ID laws and for including the Confederate battle emblem as part of the Georgia state flag, unquote.
The Federal Reserve is proposing changes required by the Dodd-Frank Act of 2010 to regulations governing its ability to extend emergency lending to struggling financial firms. This is a quote from the Fed. The proposed rule is designed to ensure that any emergency lending program or facility is for the purpose of providing liquidity to the financial system and not to aid an individual failing financial company. This quote was issued today in Washington Washington. The Fed will take comments until March 7th on its proposal, which meets the requirement of Dodd-Frank, the regulatory overhaul enacted after a financial crisis that saw the central bank extend billions of dollars in assistance to banks. In an effort to reduce chances that taxpayer money could be used to rescue failing companies, the law narrowed the Fed's ability to extend a liquidity lifeline, as was done with Bear Stearns Companies and American International Group in 2008, reported by Bloomberg.
And this is from the Associated Press. U.S. safety regulators have expanded an investigation into rear light failures in Mercedes-Benz C-Class luxury vehicles. The probe now covers nearly 253,000 cars from the 2008 through 2011 model years. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says the stop, tail, and turn signal lights can fail because of a melted electrical connector. The agencies and Mercedes company have received 402 complaints, including 5 fires and 1 injury. Mercedes also reported more than 23,000 warranty claims that could be tied to the problem. The safety agency has upgraded the probe to an engineering analysis. That's a step closer to a recall, but so far no recall has been issued. Investigators say the problem appears to be worsening as the vehicles get older. A message was left seeking comment from a Mercedes spokesman by the Associated Press, but no return call was received.
Same-sex marriages were allowed to proceed in Utah after a federal judge yesterday refused to block his own ruling, making gay marriage legal in the state. U.S. District Judge Robert Shelby, who ruled last week that Utah's ban on same-sex marriage violated the rights of gay couples to due process and equal protection under the U.S. Constitution, said the state had not met the legal standards required for him to issue a stay against his ruling. Utah Governor Gary Herbert had already filed a formal notice signaling that he would appeal the ruling, even as about 900 couples lined up in the cold early yesterday to obtain marriage licenses from the county clerk's office in Salt Lake City, reported by Reuters.
And this is from MSNBC. Shoppers were looking through discount pamphlets across the nation. Retail experts say more shoppers are waiting for big discounts after Christmas. With just 2 days to go, 1 day rather, before Christmas, it's becoming clear that shoppers won the annual game of chicken. While retailers aren't exactly tumbling off a cliff, they've rolled out aggressive last-minute efforts to entice shoppers to their stores or websites. Consumers are responding to these promotions, which include staying open for days straight, discounts of 40% or 50%, and free delivery by Christmas as late as yesterday. Even with those inducements, those shoppers were still buying far more selectively than retailers had hoped, and some say they'll wait until after Christmas to make purchases so they can score even bigger discounts.
For years, women have cried man flu when men make a fuss over a few sniffles, but a new study suggests that men may actually suffer more when they are struck down with flu because high levels of testosterone can weaken their immune response. The study by Stanford University School of Medicine examined the reactions of men and women to vaccination against flu. It found women generally had a stronger antibody response to the jab than men, giving them better protection against the virus. Men with lower testosterone levels also had a better immune response, more or less equivalent to that of women, reported by the Telegraph. The man flu.
And ABC News has this story on this day of Festivus, which I believe was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Rand Paul is airing grievances on all things ranging from his colleague Senator Cory Booker to the Senate cafeteria to his pesky staff who refused to let him wear his turtleneck sweaters. What is Festivus, you ask? It's a holiday made up on the TV show Seinfeld by George Costanza's father, Frank, who hated the commercial and religious aspects of Christmas so much that he made up his own holiday called Festivus. It begins with an airing of grievances. It can also include feats of strength, and of course, you must also have the Festivus poll. It's a Festivus for the rest of us, and wow, what a non-story that was.
Russia has sent 75 vehicles to Syria to assist the international operation to destroy or remove its chemical weapons. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said 50 Kamaz lorries and 25-year-old armored lorries were flown to Latakia last week, along with other equipment. They will be used to help transport chemicals to the Mediterranean port from where they will be shipped abroad. Syria agreed to abandon its chemical arsenal to avert potential U.S. military action after a sarin attack in August. Under a deal brokered by the United States and Russia, the complete elimination of all chemical weapons, material, and equipment must be completed by the first half of 2014, reported by the BBC.
And this is from Bloomberg. Global stocks rallied to the highest level in almost 6 years as Apple Incorporated jumped, and the International Monetary Fund indicated it would raise its outlook for the American economy. The MSCI All-Country World Index rose 0.6% at 4 p.m. in New York, the highest closing since January of 2008. The Standard & Poor's 500 index increased 0.5% to the record. The NASDAQ Composite Index surged 1.1% as technology stocks rallied. Natural gas touched the highest level since July of 2011 on speculation over a cold start to the new year. China's 7-day repurchase rate was the highest since June 20th, and the yuan closed at the most since 1993. Futures contracts on Australia's S&P and ASX 200 index climbed 0.5% as of 5:22 p.m. yesterday, and that would have been Eastern time. And again, another story indicating that the economy is improving.
The former basketball star Dennis Rodman left North Korea yesterday and did not answer questions from the media about whether he had met with Kim Jong-un during his visit. The pair struck up a friendship when Rodman first traveled to the secretive communist state earlier this year. He returned there on Thursday, a week after North Korea announced the execution of Kim's once powerful uncle, Jang Song-sek, sparking speculation by foreign analysts over the future of the Kim regime. On Sunday night, Dennis Rodman told the Associated Press that he had not yet had a meeting with Kim. After leaving North Korea, Rodman declined to answer questions from reporters at Beijing Airport, reported by The Guardian.
And this story is from the Telegraph. 1 in 3 of those put on statins because they are assessed to be at a high risk of strokes and heart attacks may not need the drugs, according to research. A study published in the European Heart Journal suggests millions of patients put on the medications may be being overtreated, exposing them to potential side effects, while other patients who are more likely to suffer a heart attack are not being targeted. Most patients are put on statins because they have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or other conditions such as diabetes.
Smartphones, sometimes seen as a distraction, could be the opposite by helping users stay attentive to achieve goals. They could act as mentors in mindfulness. University of Michigan engineering professor Jaspirit Singh says, this is a quote from Singh, "In our culture today, we often don't have scarcity of food or gadgets or knowledge. We may know we should do something, but we are not always able to do it." Singh challenged students in one of his courses to design mobile apps to help users set and meet wellness milestones, with wellness defined as encompassing creativity and learning in addition to physical and mental health, reported by UPI.
All right, that's all the time we have for News Bites. It's time to move over for Carol Ann Baldwin. She'll be talking about your garden live today on Christmas Eve. She's here with her pretty elf hat. Look like an elf hat, right?
Yep.
And remember, News Bites is our way of putting news back in News Talk, and your way of catching up with the news without spending all day listening to the radio, watching TV, or going through the newspaper. And the segment is up for sponsorship. If you'd like to sponsor the segment, get to advertising out about the business that you've been working so hard to get going, come into the station here and talk to a sales executive. They'll tell you the relationship you could have with us to make that happen. And of course, that would apply to any part of the WOCA broadcast day. We broadcast from the Paddock Mall on State Road 200, also known as College Road. Come into the studios right outside of the food court, or give us a call at 732-8000. Although don't do it today, there's nobody here.
No.
Tomorrow. Robin, how many stories?
25.
25, not bad.
Yep.
Not bad. We'll take a little break and be right back with Carol Ann Baldwin.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.